This week, House Republicans are scrambling to get their budget bill across the finish line. But Speaker Mike Johnson is facing major pushback, both from swing district moderates fighting to protect Medicaid and conservatives demanding at least $2 trillion in cuts just to stay at the table. Meanwhile, Democrats across the country are calling on their elected officials to do more to resist Trump's agenda. And one young member of Congress is pushing his colleagues to, in his words, get caught fighting. Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost says too many in Congress brush off social media as a distraction. But to him, it's part of the job. As he put it, quote, if you just wanted to write bills, you should probably apply for a staff position at Ledge Council. Our job is much more than that. That's a big part of it. But a big part of it is communicating. And Frost, along with Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, is leading by example, taking the fight directly into Republican backyards.
I'm so proud to be here with you all. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans. It's about the people versus the problem. Donald Trump is the problem. Elon Musk is the problem. And if you're here and you voted for Trump in the past, my message is simple. I'm sorry you were lied to, but welcome to the team.
All right, Congressman Hudson, me and Maxwell and your chair and your minority leader, we came here because apparently you are not willing to talk to your constituents, but there's a few of your constituents that are here with us today, and they have a question for you.
Wow. Just 1 hour from now, Senator Murphy and Congressman Frost continue their town hall tour in Florida's deep red 17th congressional district, and they join us now. Senator and Congressman, I just welcome, but also, what is the reaction? What kinds of reactions are you getting from your Republican colleagues about the fact that you're rolling into their districts, into red districts, holding town halls?
Well, listen, I mean, they've made an extraordinary decision, which is to hide from their constituents. I guess it's not surprising because what they are doing is wildly and historically unpopular. They are greenlighting a level of corruption in this White House that we have never, ever seen before in this nation. They are talking about voting for the most massive transfer of wealth and resources from the poor and the middle class to the rich that we've ever seen before in this country. That's the cut in Medicaid funding that would throw millions off their health care insurance in order to finance a tax cut for the very, very wealthy. And so, of course, if you're doing those things, if you're turning the entire government over to the billionaire class, you probably don't want to be held accountable. So the congressman here in Sarasota, Greg Steube, is not holding town halls. And I think that every voter in this country should have an opportunity to hear what's happening in Washington, to hear about the corruption and the thievery, and to express their opinions. So Maxwell and I have been traveling the country doing town halls in Republican districts where Republicans are hiding. And I don't think it's a coincidence that, as you know, we've been on this tour, as Bernie and AOC have been doing similar events, as we've been allowing Republican voters to have a voice, we've seen Donald Trump's approval ratings and Republicans' approval ratings crater. It's a little bit harder for them to get the things they want passed that would hurt regular people now that their voters are actually informed about what's happening.
Congressman Frost, I just want to continue talking about what you're hearing from voters in these red districts. I know you're in Florida today and you represent a district in Florida, but what are you hearing from the voters who normally vote Republican at these town halls?
Yeah, well, one of my favorite parts about these town halls is getting to meet with people afterwards. We always get off the stage and go out in the crowd to speak with people, to hear directly from them, especially from people who weren't able to ask a question. And I've been meeting people of all different types of political persuasions. And really, the questions they have are based on how all these big national decisions are impacting them locally. I've heard a lot about veterans and VA benefits and the local VAs being decimated staff-wise and them not being able to get the services that they deserve, that they earned, and that our country fulfills the promise we've made to those who put their life on the line for our democracy and for our nation. Not just that, I'm hearing about how cuts at Social Security Administration is impacting the ability for seniors and people on disability to be able to get their benefits. People are dying waiting. Literally, people are dying waiting to get their disability benefits right now, in part because of the massive cuts we've seen at the Social Security Administration, an agency that now has less people working at it than it did in 1994. And so all of this is on purpose, and our message is very simple. They're taking these things away, these earned benefits, the things that working people and working Americans have fought for generations, to give billionaires like Elon Musk and like Donald Trump himself a tax cut. And as we're talking about this message everywhere, it's really not about Democrat versus Republican. It's about the people versus the problem. And we've found that it's resonating for Democrats, Republicans, independents, progressives, moderates, conservatives alike, because people are seeing in front of them the real impact. You can't really spin local impact sitting in Washington, D.C. And that's part of the reason we're on this tour, to speak with people directly and hear from them about what's going on and how we can fight against it together.
Yeah, Senator Chris Murphy, you are a lawyer as well as a senator. And I'm curious what you think about the White House apparently, quote, looking at suspending habeas corpus and kind of what that means for the rule of law in this country.
You know, one of the ways that I think about the Republicans that are showing up to these events, and our doors are open to everybody, Democrats, independents, political, non-political voters. You know, one of the things I think about the Republicans who show up is this. They voted for Donald Trump, and they voted for Donald Trump because they took him seriously when he said he was going to tackle costs and lower their cost of living. But they didn't take him seriously when he said during the campaign that he was going to be a dictator. And it turns out that the opposite is true. It turns out that he is doing, well, he's not doing nothing about costs. He's actually raising people's costs with these inane tariffs. And he was serious, and he is serious about suspending the rule of law.
Joining me now is the former Democratic Congresswoman Katie Porter of California. She's now a law professor at the University of California, Irvine. She's a 2026 candidate for the governor of California. Katie, good to see you again. Thank you and welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I want your take on this, because this is nonsensical. Donald Trump is he does it in a very frivolous way. He talks about strollers and dolls and pretty girls who have them and things that mothers buy them. It's a weirdly gendered, unimportant stuff that doesn't matter. The real economy would be fine. You just buy fewer pencils and strollers and dolls, and the world will work out okay. It's a lot of BS.
It absolutely is. This is not a man who's going to be pushing a shopping cart with 3 kids in tow through a Target or a Walmart in August when his tariffs are in full effect, trying to explain to his kids why they can't get all the items on the school shopping list, trying to take a hard look at whether they can shove their kids' feet back in the same old sneakers or make that worn out backpack do one more year. It's condescending, and it's frankly offensive. And it's particularly offensive to moms, because we're the ones, when times get tough, women are the ones who are expected to make ends meet, to just make do. And so for him to talk in this way to the American people is so dismissive of working people and of what it's really like to be an American while he sits, and as you said, a gold gilded office.
Yeah, and I don't really get how this is an appeal to Republicans or conservatives. I'm sure they've got the same problems. There are Republicans and conservatives who are single mothers of 3 children like you are, or hardworking people who don't have a lot of extra money at the end of the day, already suffering because of these tariffs, already suffering because their goods are sitting, unexported or can't bring things in. There's nobody who thinks this is a good idea. There are very few times in this country's history where austerity has been called for and has been thought of as a shared experience.
No, that's right. He's not justifying it because we're having an actual national emergency. He's manufacturing one. And I think one of the reasons that we haven't seen the depth of outrage, we are just at the beginning of these tariffs hitting home in people's shopping carts. Businesses order goods far in advance, 6 months, a year in advance. They contract for and pay for things. The real pain is coming in the next couple months. It's going to come at back to school time. And by Christmas, by the holidays, it's going to be really, really tough for American families. And you know who it's not going to be tough for? Donald Trump. And that's really the problem here. This is somebody who claims to be interested in the American people, in working people. And Democrats, are being told that we don't do enough for the working people. Honestly, Trump could not be saying more clearly to American people, to small businesses, to our entire economy, to everyone who depends on their job to make ends meet, who has to walk into the grocery store worried about the balance on their credit card or their bank account. He's basically saying to them, I don't care. and I don't see you, and I don't understand just how hard this is to do because I've never done it. And so the only experience Donald Trump has with financial problems is creating them.
So you say it hasn't been felt yet, and that's true. In most cases, we've seen some announcements of some layoffs. But over where you are in California, you've got the Port of Long Beach and Los Angeles. We've got the Port of Newark here in Elizabeth. Long Beach and Los Angeles is where everything from China, or most things from China, come in. Ships were turned around. There were ships that hadn't left, that never left China, ships that were turned around. The drop in supply, in input into that port has been pretty dramatic. I've seen numbers of 35 or 40% compared to last year. That's dock workers, that's longshoremen, that's truckers, that's warehousers, that's the employees of the stores that those products go to.
Movement is failing. This was the man who made his presidency on the town hall, on the rally, on the big crowd. Remember, 2015, 2016, there were two people, and really only two since, that could consistently draw crowds. Not just for a few months, but for in general. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. And Donald was able to trick, unlike Bernie, who authentically represented the 99%, Donald was able to trick people and say, hey, I care about you. I'm a billionaire, whether or not he's actually a billionaire, but I'm a billionaire and I care about you regular peasants. And of course, we know that was BS because in his cabinet, his first cabinet and his second one, how many working class people are there? None, basically. How many millionaires and billionaires are there? Much, much more. But he was able to trick people. And Donald weaponized the town hall and the rally and the gathering to generate the buzz, the media buzz, to make him president one time, to come closer than you'd think to winning in 2020. He lost massively in the popular vote, but wasn't that far in the Electoral College. And to, again, win in 2024. But now his town hall model is being weaponized against him. And it's ironic because it's Democrats going out and saying, hey, we're the ones doing it. And not only are we doing town halls and rallies and protests to take down Trump and to expose Trump, but we're not just doing them in our liberal enclaves. It's not just happening in New York. It's not just happening in LA, downtown Chicago. You know what I mean? AOC, Maxwell Frost, Robert Garcia, Jasmine Crockett. No, they represent different parts of the country. But what they're all doing, all these young Democrats, right? They're going out into red areas of the country and holding rallies, often in Trump voting areas. And what those Trump voting areas are saying, including Trump voters in those areas, but also, of course, Democrats who happen to live in a Trump-heavy area, what they're saying is, my Republican congressman, my Republican senator, my Republican governor, my Republican state legislators, and of course, Donald himself, are screwing me. Not only are they not delivering their promises, they're screwing me. And now he's been exposed like never before.